Now, up to 18,000 new social and affordable homes will be built to tackle Britain's housing crisis. That's what the government will be saying later on today, announcing a new £2 billion investment.
Charities are urging Labour to make the vast majority available for social rent to help ease homelessness. Housing Secretary Matthew Pennycook joins us now. Very good morning to you.
Morning, Susanna.
It's part of a £1.5 million house building plan by the end of the Parliament. 18,000, it's a good start, is a drop in the ocean.
Well, it's not the start, actually. We've already, in previous months, committed an additional £800 million in-year top-up funding to the Affordable Homes programme.
And how many have been built?
That funding is going to provide us with projects ready to start building, and those projects will go forward. This is an additional £2 billion in capital investment that will provide up to 18,000 new social and affordable homes. And what we're doing by announcing this new funding today is putting a down payment on future long-term investment that will come at the spending review. It's a bridge to that successor programme. But pulling it forward in this way will give providers more certainty, will allow us to get more projects, as I say, shovel-ready in the ground, building out and completing in this Parliament.
When do they get built?
Well, all of the £2 billion that we're announcing today will be allocated to projects that will start in 2027 and will have to complete by the end of the Parliament. It takes a long time, as I'm sure you know, to build out large developments in particular. But this injection of funding, along with that £800 million in top-up in-year funding that we announced in previous months, will go a long way to meeting our commitment to delivering the biggest increase in social and affordable house building in a generation.
So and that hang on, you just said start building in 2027. So this aim of getting 1.5 million houses built, when are you going to have that done?
Well, these obviously aren't the only social and affordable homes being built, Susanna. There's already homes in the pipeline. But we have got to turn things around. I think we've had this conversation before. We inherited a dire situation on taking office.
We understand the previous situation.
Yep. Well, we've got to turn things around.
Yeah. We know that. 1.5 million houses.
Absolutely.
When are they going to be built?
We've got a very clear target to build 1.5 million safe and decent homes by the end of this Parliament.
And that's realistic. We can judge you on that.
You can judge us on that.
At the time of the next general election, you can guarantee 1.5 million homes will be built by 2030.
We're absolutely committed to building 1.5 million homes in this Parliament. Let's be clear, Susanna, we know the scale of the challenge that involves. We know all the pitfalls we've got to overcome. It's an incredibly stretching house building target.
Isn't it?
And we could have picked a far easier target. We could have picked 1 million homes like the previous government did. But that would not be commensurate with the scale of the housing crisis we face in this country.
OK, so...
And I remind all your viewers...
I mean, that is an extraordinary ambition. Anyone trying to get an extension to their house will tell you how long it takes to get the planning permission. So 1.5 million... And you think that's realistic? So by the next general election, if they're not all up, you can say to voters, we failed.
You can judge us on that milestone that's in our plan for change, to build 1.5 million new homes in this Parliament. That's what our manifesto said. That's what we're committed to delivering. And as I said, we know that there is a real challenge to doing so. It's a stretched target. We could have picked something far easier.
Of course.
Represents a 50% increase on the previous government's record. But as I say, we think we must do this, given the scale of the housing crisis in this country. And I remind your viewers, some may not be aware, as we speak here this morning, 160,000 children are homeless in temporary accommodation. So I am not content to come forward, nor is the government, with an unambitious housing target. That's why we've got this 1.5 million new homes milestone.
OK, and you've made that as an absolutely crystal clear pledge on this programme.
Yes.
Let's talk about pledges, shall we? Let's talk about manifesto pledges. One of the manifesto pledges of this current government was to smash the gangs and stop the boats. And this morning we hear that record numbers of illegal immigrants crossed the Channel in the first 3 months of this year, in numbers never seen before, not seen under the last government. No smashed gangs, the boats keep coming. There's a pledge that has not even come close to being lived up to.
Well, as you know, Richard, we inherited a dire situation when it comes to our asylum and immigration system. It's out of control. We've got to restore order to it and deliver lower net migration. But there's no overnight fix to this. We are taking action. The Border Security and Asylum Bill, for example, gives police and enforcement bodies counter-terrorism style powers to deal with some of these, introduces new criminal offences. But this isn't an overnight fix, but we are bearing down on it, just as we're bearing down on the problem of asylum seekers in hotel accommodation.
Well, you talk about inheriting a serious problem. OK, let's take that at face value. But it's getting worse. It's not even holding steady or getting slightly better. It's getting worse. So there doesn't seem to be any impact at all in terms of the government's intention to smash the gangs. They're up and running and functioning very efficiently.
No, and as I've been very candid with you in saying, there's no quick fix to this. It's a serious problem, but we are taking decisive action, both in legislation and in other areas, to ensure that we have the powers available for police, for enforcement authorities to be able to bear down.
Those powers aren't working, aren't? Well, in that case, those powers,
that legislation is going through Parliament,
are they?
That legislation, for example, Richard, is going through Parliament at this precise point in time.
When do you think we'll start to see the numbers coming down? And when do you think we'll start to see gangs being rolled up around the Pas-de-Calais?
Well, we have got to get these numbers down. We've got to take action. Every week, Home Office ministers are working to that end. We've just agreed, for example, new arrangements with the French to try and deal with this problem. But again, judge us where we are by the end of the Parliament in dealing with this serious problem that we inherited from the last government, who lost control of our borders, who gave up on processing asylum claims, who saw decision-making on asylum claims collapse by 70%. These are real problems we inherited. We've been in office, I take your point, for 8 months. We have taken decisive action and we will turn things around. But there's no overnight fix to these problems we've inherited.
OK, let's ask you about a couple of other issues that have actually got our viewers hot under the collar this morning. One of which is MPs taking a pay rise, £2,500. I know you as a minister will earn considerably more than that. Are MPs justified in getting a boost in their wages when everyone else feels like they've had a real terms pay cut over recent years?
Well, you'll know, Susanna, just as a related point, that we are taking action on pay. We are boosting wages. For example, people will receive up to £1,400 more through increases announced in the budget to the minimum wage, to the national living wage. But when it comes to MPs' pay, it's obviously set by an independent body, and MPs personally get no say on what increases that body determines upon.
But my question was, do they deserve it?
do MPs deserve the pay rise that it's a...
We've got a table on screen at the moment which shows that the average annual salary for a teacher, £32,000, for a nurse, £44,000, pretty senior nurse, I imagine, police officer, £46,000, chief exec, £88,000, MPs on almost £94,000. Is that deserved?
I think your viewers will make their own minds up. I've just had a presenter on another programme say that MPs' pay should be doubled so that we can increase the quality of representation in the House of Commons. I think there are a wide variety of views about this. I think what's important...
We've just had a poll on this question on this programme, and only 6% of our viewers think that you should get a rise, and the rest of them, well over 90%, thinks that you shouldn't. Look, we said we had a couple of other points to bring to...
Sorry, can I just get the Minister to answer the question? Is it deserved?
I think what's important is MPs used to have a role in setting their own pay. They don't anymore. It's for an independent body.
Yeah, is it deserved?
To come up...
Is it deserved?
I'm not going to make a judgment on whether the figure that the body comes out with is deserved or not. I think your viewers can make up their own mind.
OK, they have made up their own mind. Do you agree with them?
OK. I think it's for that independent body looking at the evidence to set the increase for MPs' pay, and we have no role in it. And I think that's very clear to your viewers. No, we can't. No.
OK.
No. As I said, the independent body sets the pay, and MPs will receive that pay.
But you can't bring yourself to say that you think it's deserved, which implies that you think it might not be deserved.
Well, I mean, what's the counterfactual to this, Richard, that MPs' pay should be frozen ad infinitum? I think it's for the independent body to make a judgment on what's the appropriate pay level for MPs, rather than, as used to be the case, as I'm sure you're aware, MPs having a role in setting their own pay, which was obviously not appropriate.
Of course. The other question we wanted to put to you quickly, because this again has exercised our viewers immensely and people across the country. Does the Chancellor of the Exchequer have a tin ear as regards accepting freebies? She was in the papers over the weekend for going to a concert for nothing. Tickets worth about £600 about 4 weeks ago. She's in the papers again this morning, apparently having accepted £276 worth of theatre tickets for free. Given that this government had such an issue with the whole freebie question when it came into power, it really overshadowed your opening weeks and months. Should she be accepting these freebies?
I don't accept the Chancellor has a tin ear when it comes to this issue. She's answered questions about this on the weekend. I don't have anything further to add about her decision to accept this hospitality. I think what's important, and I think your viewers will recognise this, is that all hospitality is properly declared, and it was so in this instance. So it's for individual MPs and ministers to make a decision about whether it's appropriate for them to accept hospitality. As I said, the Chancellor has answered questions on this issue at the weekend, and I don't have anything further to add.
It's not a good look, though, is it? I mean, with cuts to the left, right and in front of you, a Chancellor accepting free tickets, it doesn't look good, does it?
Well, as I said, it's for individuals to make a determination as to whether they accept hospitality. The important thing, and we've tightened the rules in this area, is that all hospitality is properly declared and transparently declared.
Yeah, the Transport Secretary says she doesn't accept freebies. Do you?
Well, I haven't accepted, for example, I've just had a question on another show. I haven't accepted, for example, tickets from the O2 Arena in my constituency, because I think in particular, when it comes to things in your own constituency and there's potential for those organisations to lobby you as the MP, I think it's best not to accept tickets. But it really is for every individual to make a determination about whether they think it's appropriate to accept hospitality. The important thing, as I say, is that everything is declared transparency. And that's what's happened on this occasion.
I wonder if the Chancellor would have accepted those tickets that you've declined. But that's a question we'll put to her another time. Thank you very much for yours.
Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you very much.